Most people think becoming a millionaire requires a six-figure salary, a lucky break, or some kind of genius investing skill that only Wall Street professionals understand. The uncomfortable truth is that most millionaires didn't build wealth through dramatic wins. They built it through consistency. And even more surprising in many cases, the journey didn't start with thousands of dollars per month. It started small, sometimes as small as $100. If that sounds unrealistic or even impossible, stay with me, because by the end of this video you'll understand not only how it's mathematically possible, but how it can happen in a much shorter time frame than most people think. If you increase discipline and stay consistent. If you believe in long-term wealth over short-term hype, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment consistent below, because consistency is the theme of everything we're about to discuss. Let's begin with a mindset shift that changes everything. $100 feels small. It doesn't feel powerful. It doesn't feel life-changing. And that's exactly why most people ignore it. We live in a world that glorifies dramatic transformations and overnight success stories, but wealth rarely grows that way. Wealth grows quietly. It compounds in the background. It rewards patience far more than intensity. When you understand this, you stop asking, "Can $100 make a difference?" And you start asking, "What happens if I never stop investing $100?" and gradually increase it over time. At its core, the idea is simple. Money invested consistently, over time, grows not just because you keep adding to it, but because the growth itself starts generating more growth. This is the principle of compounding. Imagine you invest $100 every single month into a diversified long-term investment that historically grows at an average annual rate, similar to the broader market. You're not chasing individual stocks. You're not timing entries and exits. You're simply participating in long-term economic growth. In the first few years, the progress feels slow. After 1 year, you've invested $1,200. After 5 years, you've invested $6,000 plus some modest growth. It won't feel dramatic. It won't feel impressive. This is where beginners go wrong. They quit during the boring phase. They expect visible results too quickly. But compounding doesn't reward impatience. It rewards duration. Now pay attention to this part, because this is where the numbers begin to shift in a way most people underestimate. If you invest $100 per month for 30 years, assuming a long-term average annual return around 10%, you're not ending with the $36,000 you contributed. You're ending with a number that can approach $200,000. Now here's where it gets powerful. If instead of staying at $100 forever, you start with $100 and increase it slowly over time, for example, raising it to $200, then $300 as your income grows, suddenly the timeline compresses dramatically. With steady increases and a consistent 10% long-term return, reaching $1 million in 25 to 30 years becomes realistic. Not because you made risky bets, not because you found a secret investment, but because time plus increasing contributions did the heavy lifting. Here's what most people misunderstand. The majority of that million doesn't come from your early contributions. It comes from growth on growth. In the later years, the portfolio can grow by more in a single year than you invested in the first 5 to 10 years combined. That is the invisible force most people never experience because they never stay invested long enough. But before you get excited, let's stay realistic. This is not guaranteed. Markets fluctuate. Some decades perform better than others. There will be recessions, there will be crashes, there will be years when your portfolio goes down. That's not a flaw in the system, that's part of it. The long-term upward trend historically exists precisely because short-term volatility shakes people out. Emotional discipline is the price of admission, and this is where most beginners struggle. They start investing $100 a month. The market drops 20%. Suddenly, that steady plan feels wrong. Fear replaces logic. They stop investing or sell at a loss. Then when the market recovers, they feel regret and buy back at higher prices. This cycle destroys compounding more than any market crash ever could. The real framework for turning $100 a month into significant wealth isn't about maximizing returns. It's about building a system that protects you from yourself. First, automate the investment so it happens whether you feel motivated or not. When money moves automatically from your bank account into a long-term investment account, discipline becomes mechanical instead of emotional. Second, invest broadly, rather than concentrating risk in a single company or trend. Diversification reduces the odds that one mistake derails decades of progress. Third, increase the contribution whenever your income grows. Even small raises directed toward investing can dramatically accelerate results and shorten the timeline. Now let's talk about time, because time matters more than the starting amount. If you start at age 25 and invest consistently while increasing your contributions over time, reaching financial independence in your 50s becomes very realistic. If you wait until 35, you haven't just lost 10 years of contributions. You've lost 10 years of exponential growth. The earlier dollars are the most valuable dollars because they have the longest runway to compound. This is why starting small today is far more powerful than waiting to start big later. This is also where beginners go wrong in another way. They believe they must invest more to make it meaningful, so they delay until they feel financially ready. But readiness is often an illusion. $100 invested consistently beats $0 invested perfectly. Starting builds the habit builds the discipline builds the portfolio. Let's make this practical. Imagine someone invests $100 a month starting at 25 and gradually increases it over time as their income grows. Over 25 to 30 years with consistent investing and a reasonable long-term return, the portfolio can realistically grow into the high six figures and potentially reach seven figures if contributions scale. But if they wait 10 years to start, even with the same increases, they may end up with hundreds of thousands less. Same strategy, same market. The only difference is time and consistency. Here's what most people overlook. Compounding accelerates in the final third of the journey. In the early years, growth feels linear. In the later years, it feels exponential. The portfolio curve bends upward more steeply. But to experience that curve, you must endure the flat-looking beginning. Emotional discipline becomes crucial during market downturns. When headlines predict economic collapse, when friends talk about pulling out of the market, when your account temporarily shows a lower balance than last year, that is the exact moment your future wealth is being decided. Continuing to invest during downturns means you're buying at lower prices. Historically, those purchases have often delivered some of the strongest long-term returns. It doesn't feel comfortable in the moment. It feels uncertain. But long-term investors accept uncertainty as part of the process. Now let's address another misconception. $100 per month alone doesn't magically create wealth in isolation from your broader financial behavior. You must avoid high-interest debt that erodes progress. You must build an emergency fund so you're not forced to sell investments during a crisis. You must live below your means so the plan is sustainable. Investing is one pillar of wealth. Spending discipline and risk management are equally important. If you want a clear step-by-step path, it looks like this. First, stabilize your foundation by paying off high-interest debt and building a small emergency reserve. Second, open a low-cost investment account that gives you access to broad market funds. Third, automate a $100 monthly contribution. Fourth, commit mentally to staying invested for decades, not reacting to headlines. Fifth, increase contributions gradually as your income grows. Notice what's not included in that plan: market timing, stock picking, reacting to news, chasing trends, or trying to double your money quickly. Excitement and wealth rarely travel together. Stability and patience do. Now pay attention to this part, because it might be the most important takeaway of all. The goal is not actually to hit $1 million as a number. The goal is to build financial independence, the ability for your investments to generate income and options. The million is simply a milestone that demonstrates the power of the process. When your money works for you consistently over time, you gain flexibility, you gain resilience, you gain choices. So can $100 a month make you a millionaire faster than 40 years? Yes. If you increase it over time, stay invested for 25 to 30 years, and let compounding do its job. The formula is simple. The execution is psychological. We've covered the mindset shift from chasing big wins to building systems, the core concept of compounding, the common mistakes of quitting early and reacting emotionally, the practical framework of automation and diversification, and the emotional discipline required to stay the course. None of this is flashy. None of it is dramatic. But over 25 to 30 years, it can completely change your financial life. If this perspective helped you see money differently, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment "I'm starting" below so you make the commitment public. Remember this: wealth is not built in moments of excitement. It is built in years of consistency. $100 invested patiently and increased over time is not small. Over time, it can be transformational.